Right now, I'm so excited because you may know him again as John Adams from HBO's, I guess Max, The Gilded Age, or you may know him from his turns on The Great White Way. And now you can get to know him as he comes to the Venus Cabaret Theater for the Big Gay Cabaret, October 18th through the 20th. Welcome to the show, the incredibly talented and devilishly handsome Claybourne Elder. Hello, Clay.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Are you laughing at me, Clay?
I'm laughing because that's the best intro. Would you just intro that every day when I wake up?
Look, that is how
master of intros.
That is how I introduce everybody. Look, because you are incredibly talented and devilishly handsome, Claybourne Elder.
Thank you.
And he's a sucker for both of those things. Let me just tell you that.
How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you, and I am so excited to be out in Chicago with you very soon.
I know. This is kind of like a homecoming because was your first show in Chicago? Was that One Arm at Steppenwolf?
Well, no, you know what? I've actually never performed in Chicago. I did One Arm when it transferred to New York. It was a different production.
Oh,
but, I did it. Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I had it in my brain's eye that's there. You were there at Steppenwolf, and that was the beginning of a spark. Let's get to that a little bit later.
No.
But,
No, this is technically my first time performing in Chicago.
Oh my goodness!
Welcome. My Chicago debut.
It's about time.
I love it. Fantastic. Let me tell you, and the Venus Cabaret Theater is I love that space. That venue is so wonderful. It's a beautiful, intimate crowd that you'll be pulling in there. So yay. Oh my gosh. For some reason I had it in my brain that you've been here before performing, but
you just wished
y'all,
it.
Chicago, you are in for a treat because again, incredibly talented and devilishly handsome.
So, speaking of a treat, Claybourne, what can we expect when we see you in this cabaret format when you come to town?
Well, you know, I was raised Mormon in Utah, and I'm generally like a nice, gay, ex-Mormon dad of a 7-year-old. But once you get to know me, you figure out that I'm really kind of a dark and twisted person.
Yes.
And so this is going to be a dark and kind of filthy evening of me telling stories and singing songs.
So is this? I know you performed at 54 Below, the famed 54 Below. Is that right? Or did I screw that one up too? Or was it Joe's Pub? It's
no.
one.
No, I have. I've done both of them.
Oh, I'm
actually.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Fancy Pants. So,
no, but this show, I started this show about 1.5 years ago, and I've been touring it around the country for a while now, just a couple of times a month, but from coast to coast. So I'm very excited to finally get to hit Chicago.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So when you are putting together, I think cabaret is one of the most difficult things to pull off successfully because you have to be, and you are a raconteur. You have to be a gifted storyteller and a gorgeous singer, which of course you are. And when it comes to creating a show for this show, do you have a title for it? What is your process when it's okay, what song is going to go with what story? How do you curate a show like the one that's going to be coming to the Big Gay Cabaret at the Venus Cabaret Theater on Southport?
Well, the show is called I Want to Be Evil, which is one of the songs that I sing in the show.
I want to be evil.
I
want to spit
exactly
tax.
That one.
Mm-hmm.
And the story, I do stand-up and I do storytelling, and then I also sing. And so this is sort of a perfect combination of those things for me, and that it's sort of half stand-up show in that I think there's more talking than a cabaret, and there's more singing than in a stand-up show in which there would be none. So it's somewhere across between those two things. And I do sort of tell this, it sort of centers around this one crazy thing that happened to me a few years ago, in which this kind of incredibly strange, bizarre kind of reconnection with a person from my past.
Okay.
And so I know I'm so vague.
I
right?
love it.
But
No,
that's how you're
tease
gonna come
away.
and see
Tease
the vague
away.
story. Um, and so it sort of centers around that and kind of the idea of goodness and what goodness is. And so there's no story. And like a stand-up show, it's sort of thematic in that I'm talking about those sorts of things. But I'm also telling stories about, the Gilded Age and stories about being on Broadway and things like that as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fabulous. And speaking of the Gilded Age, congratulations on that, by the way. What a beautiful, fabulous show. Like, I like just the costumes alone. I'm like, nom, 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 nom. Just want to eat it up. So delicious. What has been your biggest surprise working on a show, especially like a period piece like the Gilded Age?
I think that there's only been one other time when I've been on a TV show, and I was on the second season of the Carrie Diaries, which was an experience. And but this is the first time I've been on multiple seasons of a TV show, and what I think I found most fascinating is how, well, at least in this instance, Julian Fellowes really calls us each the steward of our own character, and that we know more about them than he does, and so he loves to listen to ideas and loves to talk about things. And it has been really fun to kind of brainstorm and watch this person I know and love grow over the course of years of the show.
Do you I'm always fascinated because each show and each set is very, very different. Do you have is there any amount of rehearsal time that you have? Because you are a creature of the stage. You've been on Broadway. With the revival of Company, Bonnie and Clyde, Sunday in the Park with George. You performed all over this country regionally, and as a theater actor, there's a big rehearsal process to lead up to this. But what is it like getting prepared for each one of these episodes?
Yeah, that I think when I teach young people, and I frequently get the question, what is the difference between working on stage and working in front of a camera? And it's the same toolbox, but it's just the way you use those tools. And I think that a lot of theater people, when they get started in TV and film, are surprised by how little help they get. Mm-hmm. Because we're used to a director and a process in 3 weeks or 6 weeks and, previews and all these things to get stuff right. But for TV and film, the director is mostly concerned about lights, mostly concerned about movement. They're not always concerned about your performance and what you are portraying. So you have to have done all of that homework by yourself and show up with a performance that is ready. And I think that's difficult for theater people at first because it's a lot of homework. Yeah. It's a lot of working by yourself in your room.
And that's why the best theatrical actors are the best actors on television, generally, in my opinion. They have the tools, as you said. I never really thought about the fact they don't get the support that you would get on stage, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Go on, finish your thought.
No. Oh no, I was just going to say, I was working on a film once, and I one of my first jobs ever, and this other actress that I was working with kept showing up with these amazing ideas, and I was about the third day of filming, I was like, hey, what do you do? What's your process like? And she was like, well, when I go home, when we're done filming, I go to my hotel room and I set up the hotel room like the set, and I practice by myself for a few more hours. And I was like, wow.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. There we go.
I was gauntlet thrown.
I know.
Yeah, really.
And you will pick that gauntlet right on up and be like, okay, ma'am.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's do this.
So I want to circle back
it was a great lesson.
It was. Someone that's really using the method there. I want to circle back to your Mormonism, Clay. How did your ex-Mormonism and your break from the Mormon Church, how has it affected your work?
Well, first off, the first big thing that happened to me when I came out was I got kicked out of college, which was I was going to BYU, the Mormon school, and I got kicked out of college. And that to me was such a, a very real life representation of coming out and affecting my life, my career, my livelihood, what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And it was very difficult for me at that point to say that, I wanted to continue on doing this thing, being an actor. when it felt like everything had been pulled out from under me, everything that I had been planning. And also I just didn't know a lot of people at that time, a lot of Mormon actors weren't really getting degrees and moving to New York to be actors because that was sort of seen as evil. And so when I got kicked out of school and was like, well, what do I want to do? And I decided to move to New York. It was very scary for me and hard. And luckily I have parents who were very supportive, and it was not always easy for them, but they came around pretty quickly to being very supportive. And that has made it much easier. You know, I know that a lot of people whose story of coming out is not as easy as mine was. And but as far as being an actor in New York, you know, I think that one thing that growing up Mormon actually gave me that was very good is they're very hardworking. You know, you're really taught to serve other people and to work a lot and volunteer a lot of your time, and also just a general sense of kindness and a community. And I think that has really benefited me a lot, to be, you know, to know what it's like to be a part of a community and to need to support and uplift everybody in that community to make your life better as well.
It's great you could take the positives from it and not dwell in the other things. So kudos to you for doing that. Awesome.
Yeah, well, and it also spills over because you do have continued this philanthropic work because you've been making these, or you started a fund in order to get this accessibility to Broadway shows for folks. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So this is sort of, I mean, I go into detail in this story in my show, but I came to New York when I was in college. Right after I'd been kicked out of school, I came to New York on a visit, and a stranger walked up to me after I'd seen a Broadway show and said, "You looked like you were having the best time at that show." And I was like, thanks. And I was in the standing room because it was the only thing I could afford. And he handed me $200 in cash and said, "Here, go buy yourself a ticket to Sweeney Todd tomorrow. It'll change your life."
Wow.
And I took a picture with the guy because I didn't really know what to say, and he walked away. And I did go buy a ticket to Sweeney Todd, and it was a very, informative piece of theater for me. And what happened was, when I was in company, I posted that picture I took with that guy 15 years earlier and was reconnected with him through a friend.
I love it.
Who saw the picture and recognized him. And at that time, I decided I was going to give away 2 tickets to Company, which is the show I was in at the time. And it was just after the pandemic, and there were so many artists out of work and so many young people who were moving to New York without any, hope of jobs, or no auditions were happening. And so and a lot of people started sending me more money to give more people tickets to Broadway shows who couldn't afford it at the time. And over the course of the next year, we became an official 501c3 nonprofit. It's called City of Strangers. We've given away over 3,000 tickets to Broadway shows. And the tickets aren't free, but are paid for by a stranger who wants to do something nice for somebody else.
Wow. Talk about paying it forward.
I mean, it's been really amazing. We partnered with a bunch of community organizations, giving away tickets to public school teachers in the New York City area, to youth who've experienced homelessness, a lot of whom were LGBT people who were kicked out of their houses when they came out. We've worked with the Performing Arts High School here. So we're giving away tickets to people who really wish they could be in the space, but oftentimes can't afford it.
See,
that's beautiful.
Incredibly talented, devilishly handsome, and incredibly generous and kind and giving. It's. I love that story. It was just one of those wonderful, amazing things. Hey, you do not want to miss the naughty stories, beautiful songs, crazy stand-up of Claybourne Elder. He's going to be at the Venus Cabaret Theater October 18th through the 20th. For tickets, you can go to mercurytheaterchicago.com and click on the Venus Cabaret tab. Hey, Clay, is the fam coming with at all?
The fam is going to come. I'm so excited. Eric Eric's coming with a kid. We're all going to have a Chicago weekend. It's going to be great.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Eric being Eric Rosen, one of the co-founders of About Face Theater right here in Chicago. Theater legend here in the city. And an adorable power couple. And that little beau, so cute.
Yes, I
Can't even
Facebook
deal.
'cause
Can't
I'm
even deal with how
friends
cute
with
that kid is. So if you want to see how cute that kid is, maybe he'll be at the show, but I don't know. It might be dirty. But go see Claybourne Elder. Claybourne Elder, Venus Cabaret Theater. Clay, thank you so much for joining us today. Can't wait to see you when you're in town.
I can't wait to see you too.